Hey everybody, this is the Sky Tower slider from TiGo Design. I just got mine from AliExpress the other day. Mine is stainless steel blasted finish. It is a 2-level slider with a pivot point in the middle. Trying to figure out a good way to classify something like this. It doesn't really fall under the usual terms that we use. But maybe that's one of the things we'll try to tackle here when we talk about it today. We're also going to take it apart, so stick around. So to get one thing out of the way, it came in a nice little tin. Not everything comes in a tin anymore. Of course, it's dented up from being shipped over here. And in that tin, I got a couple stickers and, most importantly, some extra parts. I appreciate that so much. This thing uses some small washers. There's 2 extra washers, 2 small screws, and 1 extra small screw. Then we have 4 very small magnets, and then it appears to be, oh, there are several different types of magnets here. I'll have to measure them all to tell you what they are. I imagine I've taken this apart, not completely, but almost entirely. There's 2 rows of magnets. Those are probably the larger magnets. And then these smaller magnets have something to do with the pivot point that moves up and down on the inside. So that's great. There's always good to have spare parts. I'm never going to complain about that. Now we're calling this the Sky Tower, but if I do a translate of this, let's just pause right there and I'm going to show you what the translate showed me. So let's just stick with Sky Tower. That's what everybody knows it as. I'm pretty pleased with it. I don't have anything that functions like this. The closest thing I can remember would be the Milkia. I know there's other things out there like that right now, like this right now. This is magnetic, it's not mechanical. To get it to a point where you can take it apart like a lot of our other sliders, get it to a point in the middle, and then you can get the key out of the keyway. Now you'll see here I've added some copper wire on the inside as a fake tritium tube. I don't buy tritium tubes because they're too expensive. I like to use copper wire when I can find some that fits the right diameter. So one of the things we're going to do is I'll show you how to install trits on this side. I've already done it on this side. But like I said, you can take it apart by getting it lined up in the middle, lifting it directly up, and then you'll see this moving pivot point in the middle that I was talking about. If I get it to the middle, I can pop it out that way as well. These 2 sides are basically the same. I do wish that they had the same. This is a very aggressive texture on this side, which is the top surface. I call that the top and this the bottom. That's just what I chose. It just seems like this was better meant for your thumb for pushing and pulling. And I do wish that they had the same or something equally as grippy on the bottom surface. And we'll talk about that a little bit later too. It just has to do with being able to use it in different ways. But this part I do not want to take apart because I can tell you from the pictures I've seen on the internet, it's 2 discs. It's being held together right now by probably a nut and then this tiny screw here. And that might be one of the extra screws that I had that I showed you earlier. And some of the smallest magnets that I showed you that are extras probably go inside here. What you see if you open this up is basically like a haptic coin. So it's got a whole circle of magnets around the inside. And all it does is gives you your rotation, as you can see here. One interesting thing about this is it is coated. These 2 surfaces here, if I flip it over, there's a bit of a Teflon type substance on here. And they've also opted not to put in 4 magnets. You'll notice one's missing here, one's missing here. And it's kind of weird with the Teflon. I don't know if it's a skin or like a tape, like we're used to seeing tape. I think it is a tape. It is kind of flexible. At first I thought maybe it was kind of like a gel or some kind of liquid that might have filled in that cavity, but now I kind of think that it is just a a skin of some sort, like a tape, like a usual tape. But that's the only Teflon it came with, and like I said, it is missing the 2 magnets. Now that would only make it a little bit harder or easier to travel. So I don't think we're missing anything there. And one of the reasons I really wish it had better grip as it does on top, I wish it had it on the bottom, is because it's very easy to do this maneuver where you're just flipping it and flipping it and flipping it. But you can also do this backwards and rotate the bottom. Do it backwards and rotate the bottom. Just like some of our other sliders that go, both directions. It would be a little easier if it had a bit more grip on this side. Okay, so let's just do some comparisons, and then we'll talk about how we can put some different tritium tubes inside of it. I've basically shown you how to take it apart, but we'll get to the nuts and bolts of it here in a little bit. But compared to this, the Mackie CP3 have quite a difference in size there. Not that these two have anything in common with each other, it's just that this is a very common item, and that way you can get an idea what the size is. This is the 01 EDC slider, happens to be the new mechanical one, which is identical in width and height to the magnetic version if you have the magnetic version. So these are almost identically the same thickness, not the same height, and almost the same width. Could be the same width. Another possible one you might be familiar with would be the deep fried donut stick, or the Top D slider from DZ Toys. Oh, I can't do that with my left hand. This is probably the closest thing I had functionally to this. Strange as that might seem. But let's see. This is not as thick. About half as wide. And lastly, my new One Pal. So dimension-wise, it is 55 millimeters tall, 24 wide, and 15 thick. Weight is approximately 88 grams. So the next thing we'll do is take it apart. At this point, maybe a lot of you can probably jump the boat, but we will be putting in the not tritium, I have copper wire, but I'll show you how to install the tritium rods, and then you'll get a glimpse too of how the magnets are installed underneath these plates. So please stick around for that. So to take this apart, we're just going to need a Phillips. To be more specific, a Phillips 1 fits in there very nicely. And I happen to have, this uses or can accept tritium vials that are 2mm by 12mm. Now, I happen to already have a bunch of copper wire cut to that size because I did it for my FEGV core. That's FEGVE. FEGVE. And this actually holds 12 tritiums, 6 on each side. And I needed to take it apart, which you can see I did here, so that I could grab some of these just to try out in here. So let's do that real quick. We'll finish taking out a couple more of these. Let's do this. Well, I need 4 more, so that's only going to be 2 more. I may as well do this 1, 2, 3. Well, either way, I've got to take off 2 sides. This spinner, this Fegfi core, used to be Ben Coe's. This came from, if you might know him on YouTube as the Average Singaporean. I bought it used from him probably a couple years ago now. Very nice fella. Good channel. He covers a lot of different things. He's not necessarily stuck. He does knives and fidget spinners, and I don't think he's really caught on to the haptic craze like we did. Good guy, though. Okay. What is holding me up here? There we go. Okay. There, I got 4. That's all I needed. Tritium vials are really interesting. I mean, it's radioactive gas trapped in a tube with fluorescent or radioactive, sensitive powder on the inside of the glass that glows. And it glows for 15 or 20 years, but after that it's shot. I bought some small, tiny tritium tubes, like the kind you'd put in a watch, a long time ago, and they were supposed to be close to the end of their life, and you could tell they were. So I've had, I don't have it out with me, but I have some of the newer, what they call glow vials, I think. They're glass tubes like tritium, but instead of the radioactive gas and all that expensive stuff, they're just filled with glow-in-the-dark material, different colors. And since they're glass and they're cut exactly the right size, they act just like tritium tubes. And all you need is a UV light to warm them up. I think I would go with that over tritium these days. Like I said, I already have this side done. Let's go ahead and take off this cover to get it out of the way. We'll get this out of the way too. So there you have, that side's done. We'll pop this side apart. Okay, so the screw is magnetic. I'm gonna have to pause this and go get my magnetic. Unless this works. Do they attract? They do attract, but that means that I can't take it. No, I can't take it apart that way then. Well, I shouldn't have any trouble. I should be able to just lift it off. All the magnets are going to fly together. Oh, look at that. I got lucky. Got very lucky. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 magnets. And you can see these slots on the side make just enough room for a 2x12 tritium vial or a 2x12 piece of copper wire to fit. And those are all loose. I know that because they popped out on the other side when I took it apart. So let's put this back together carefully. Probably the wiser thing to do might have been to do this over. I have a metal plate, that would be magnetic, and I would have maybe put it down and tapped it down and let it smack down and attract it to that. Might have been a slightly safer way to do this, but we're rolling. Let's just keep rolling. Well, we want to put the tritium vials in there, don't we? So that is the slightly tricky part. We'll see how this works. This surface is like a felt, a soft padded felt surface, and we'll just see how this works. Oop, the tweezers are magnetic. We know that. I remember that from earlier. Just got a nifty reminder. And the last thing I want to do is have these magnets fly all over the place, but we all know that. At least I don't feel like I'm risking my eyesight on this one. Oh, last couple of magnetic ones. I felt like I was risking my eyesight. Well, there, I've started it now. I've gotten 2 of these loose. I got to make sure it lines up with all the other ones. Does it line up with that one? Yes. Put that one in. Put that one back in. Alrighty. Yeah, I know this probably looks like shit from above, but hopefully we'll get it right the first time. And you should be able to just put the lid back on and then carefully try to push it back up into place. There, I felt everything. I waited until I felt everything reach the upper inner surface. Now I can flip it over. Now keep in mind, my little copper wires are not precisely cut to length. If you had 2x12 tritium vials, they should fit in there just fine. All I had to do was knock those back into place a little bit. Okay, now we can put the screws back in, but one of the important things not to forget, do you see this washer floating around in here? There's one. Here's the other. The only way you're going to get it in there is through this keyway. So just drop it down in there. You can bring it down to the other side. We'll get our screws ready. Remember to turn counterclockwise until you hear a click. Do that a few times so you recognize where the click is, and then gently turn clockwise. Just make things nice and snug. Don't ever force it. Okay, that's it. Now we just pop this back in, see if I have it in the right direction. I do not. There we go. You can imagine the copper being tritium. I'm pretty happy with the copper. I'm going to leave them in there. And I'm going to make some new copper ones to replace the ones I just took out of my spinner. Yeah, I think this is well worth it. And like I said, the only downfall, I think, I wish it had the same or equal grip on the back that it has on the front, because that would facilitate better moves like this, where you rotate the bottom part. You can still do it. In my case, this is sandblasted stainless steel, so there is a bit of a texture, but the more moist my fingers are, the better of a grip I get on it. And of course, the drier they are, the worse. And I live in a climate where it's half and half throughout the year. But I think that's it. I'm just kind of droning on here. Let me know if you have any questions. Mine is SS for stainless steel 042, and then it says TiGo designed. I believe the emblem that you'd be looking at would be like this right here, like mountains, and then T and G. So pretty nice. Pretty nice. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And thanks for watching. Bye.